tough regional. That was a grind for us. But I thought, you know, everybody that worked hard to make this happen, from the NCAA to, you know, a ground crew, the three teams were amazing here, meaning their head coaches, first class, the players. It's not every regional that you get an opportunity to play each and every team, and we did. And I hold Elliot Avent in the highest regard. Steve Tripper's been a friend for a long time. First time we got to play on the field. Even Central Connecticut, man, those guys were so scrappy, and their players left it all on the field. It was amazing. So, never hosted a super regional before. Pretty excited about that. And I thought our guys didn't maybe not play perfect for 3 games, but I don't think we trailed in this regional and they fought pretty hard. They were pretty connected and played a pretty solid 3 days for us.
Start with Jason in front right.
But you guys have faced Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle. You've faced a bunch of really top-flight lefties. How did that prepare you for this moment when NC State threw a couple at you early?
Yeah, just every time that we faced them, whether we had adversity or whether we rose to the challenge and had success, I just kept telling them to bank it, you know, that this is going to make a difference. And we saw some good arms this weekend. We saw some lower slot stuff that gave us a problem. We saw one of the best closers in college baseball yesterday. Fritten, the starter today, how about giving him some props of trying to come out and start a game 1 and then coming back and absolutely competing the way he did. It was just what I did know, that we had him after 30 pitches in the first, and then after 3 innings it started getting in that 60-70 range that probably became our advantage. But I was impressed with him, the job that he did. So we've seen it. All the preparation has been good, playing in our league, seeing really good arms, and did it again this weekend and had success. I was happy with our pitching. I think that's something, the depth and what I'm looking for as far as being able to compete and get through a regional. I wasn't sure. But Carson Myers, game 1, did amazing work for us. Sammy Dutton kind of looked like he got rested and got his feet back underneath, and Hetzler combined good yesterday. And how about a freshman? You know, you're trying to think he's getting experience, and he absolutely shows the baseball. Alvarez has a ton of confidence. He's got some energy in his fastball, and then I thought he had his best game for us, and it comes in the postseason. Got to a slider and really commanded. I think he had one walk, but that was, I think, the last batter he faced, and we thought he was probably done and gassed for the night when we took him out. And then Cade Fisher. To throw 7 guys in a regional, guys, is pretty good. So I tip my hat to those guys as well. And then our offense was consistent for 3 days.
Brian.
Butch, you talked about Andreas, but could you walk us through sort of when you told him he was starting, what you said to him, and you know, just a little bit more on what it means for a freshman to go out there and do that on such a big stage?
Yeah, this was unique because you didn't know who you were going to play till the game was over, till it was very, very late in the ball game where you even know who you were playing. So our 2 options were in our meetings were Alvarez and Chatterton, and we told the pitching staff last night to be ready. That we'll watch, we'll prepare. So this was a very unique game. The coaches had worked on NC State all week, but didn't know if we'd ever face them or not. And we elected to go Alvarez and probably Chatterton, and we prepared for Monday too. And then probably told them all to be ready, whatever it takes for today with whoever we're playing. And I think we told him about 11:30 this morning that he was going to start regardless. So we made that decision about 11:30 this morning that Alvarez. Sometimes I didn't want him to sleep when we didn't know and wait. So we waited till late mid-morning to give him a heads up.
Back left.
Butch, you noted it. You guys didn't trail at all this weekend, scored no fewer than 8 runs in a game. I know the last few weeks this lineup has really come together connectivity-wise. Just what have you seen out of this bunch the last few weeks to really allow them to kind of line it up the way they have?
You know, I just think that early in the year, was wanting more, and I would say maybe like, I want more offense, or like, I'm not totally satisfied, and I'd go back to them like, I believe in you now, but there's more. There's more to be had, there's more that you can do, we need to keep pushing, toward that, and I think they stayed after it. I think they played enough baseball where it just felt like early we'd have a moment, and then it'd be a little slow, and have a moment, and consistency is the key. Somebody's gonna be hot, and this Coastal Carolina team, have they won 21 games in a row or something? Are they north of 50 wins? I mean, we'll start spreading that narrative of, you know, you better be ready, we better prepare, we better keep trying to stay consistent. We'll be doing that tomorrow because we're playing the hottest team in college baseball. We'll be coming in here. Super neat, like I said, to host the first super regional in our program's history, but you know, we're down to one team that's, you know, in our way of going back to Omaha, and that's the goal for every dream of every college baseball player. But we probably have the hottest team right now in America that'll be coming here trying to take it. So I think we got to keep our head down and just keep fighting for that consistency with our lineup.
Front right.
But you guys signed Bob, you knew he was a talented guy, but talk about the growth that you've seen from him, you know, at the plate, you know, everything he's done, how much he's changed over the course of the year.
You'll notice some of you guys here that are on top of us every day. There was early in the year, he didn't get as many left-handed at bats. I think I've seen he's growing into that and having some more left-handed at bats and options. Once you get 3 hits the first day, you're not taking him out the second day, regardless if they're left or right, and then he gets 3 hits again, and then he does it again tonight. So, but I think he's maturing. I think he's getting more and more comfortable in his skin. I think you're starting to see his personality grow and come out. And like I referenced last night, these guys aren't freshmen to me. They played, we're 41 and 18. You know, they've played a lot of baseball for us. They've been on the field a lot. So, but I like his maturity. I think he's more and more comfortable. We're communicating more. We're talking more. And you know, he was huge. We need to travel as a pack if we got any chance of moving forward. But him and whoever else wants to jump in there, like Chris Rivert tonight, and Ike and all those guys, are just top to bottom. We need to be lengthy and pack oriented instead of individual oriented. And I think that keeps the pressure off of an individual or two.
Front right or left.
But Andreas had only pitched in 12 games out of those 59 games. Was there any trepidation on your part, say, putting the freshman out there who hasn't been out there that much in this moment?
Yeah, I worry. That's who I am. That's what I do. I feel like I've always tried to keep my guard up, and pitching by nature, I always try to identify threats and tell those guys. I've heard one of my catchphrases, attack, 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 is the best way to go. And that was a flag we tried to wave was shove it in the strike zone. I wanted the strike percentage to be markedly better than last year. And we had 8 or 9 losses in Southeastern Conference play last year. So we really got this going. I heard Ike reference of just the power of one. So if you can just change one run, you know, you don't have to move mountains to have more success. But we thought he was ready. We thought after whoever we played had played an entire 9-inning games, it might be to our advantage that we hadn't dropped a ball game. And that energy in his fastball, if he can get confident, if he can throw enough strikes, we thought it had a chance to beat bats for a little while. I think he had a pickoff that was huge in the ball game. He has some makings of being a really good pitcher because he throws hard enough. He's got a repertoire. He can pick. It's about .98 on a pick from first move to McMurray catching it at first base. He has some skills, and I think I saw it all come together. I was happy. Players are allowed to get better. I think about Bud from that regard and all these guys, and I think about Andreas. I don't think it's an accident if players keep growing, and we get to advance because that's happening. Sometimes teams peak at different times and early, and people aren't growing, but don't ever forget that players are allowed to get better. And that helped us this weekend with Andreas. He's had those 12 appearances, and a handful of them have been starts. and you're allowed to get better and put it all together in a big moment. That's hopefully a ton of confidence for him going forward. Bub's able to have a consistent 3 days of getting multiple hits. Players are allowed to do that, and but it sure is good to see, and you know, on a weekend like this.
We'll take a few more, Brian.
Butch, Guevara's status for the Super Regional.
Yeah, up in there, question mark. And that was the most negative thing that happened to us this weekend. And still waiting on, you know, a little bit more feedback. We did an MRI this morning, and it really crossed off a lot of things that, you know, would be more concerning. So I think we're positive with it. And I'm talking in regards, I want him next weekend, you know. But he was really slowed up. I mean, he's having trouble walking and limping around, so we'll have to see. But I think he's in a better place if we can get some swelling down. And I think that'll take some pain out and get him on the road to recovery. I'd love for it to be next week, but we'll be realistic and hopefully start gauging how realistic that would be, and I'll be happy to tell you guys that he would definitely couldn't play today and would not have been able to play tomorrow if we had to play. So we'll punt and see if he can go Friday or Saturday or not, and maybe update you in 24 or 48 hours.
Butch, with that in mind, just talk about the value of Eric Snow and the way he played, and then Derek Fabian battling through some injuries of his own this weekend and just kind of gutting through it.
Yeah, Fabian wasn't 100%, and when that happened to Eric, we didn't have a choice. Not a lot of depth there for the Auburn Tigers there, but one thing that's held up, and I give Carl Nunemaker a ton of credit, is there was a pretty set 4-man rotation. You've seen these guys interchange. You've seen Rember from second base to right field, but you've seen those other 3 guys. Snow's played some short, played some third, played some second. You've seen these guys be able to move around a pretty good bit, so that became a huge need here when we got down to a 3-man deal, and they held up and played really good defense, and you know, Snow had been swinging the bat for us pretty good as of late. And Derek was battling. I think he got 2 bunt hits there, and the time was good. I think one time was with a left-hander, another time was tonight, you know. Just trying to create offense and get the next guy to the plate, and did an amazing job for us.
All right, Coach.